Everything was being done in Nairobi. This made it difficult for children from other parts of the country to get services such as health, education, and clean water. But when making the 2010 constitution, Kenyans, including children, said it is important to have services available to everyone and everywhere. So, the country was divided into, can you guess how many counties? Yes, 47 counties as shown on this map. In 2013, during the general elections, Kenyans voted for their first governors, deputies, and MCAs. So this year, all county governments are 10 years old, just like me. On health, counties have made it easy for us to get healthcare. It is easy to get doctors, nurses, and medicine in clean and well-equipped hospitals. Mandera County, for example, has made efforts towards improved access to maternity services, increased referral hospitals from 1 to 3, and constructed new modern maternity wards. Nakuru County constructed a new 250-bed maternity wing at the Nakuru Level 5 Hospital to meet the demands for safer deliveries and provide specialized care to children born with complications. My younger brother got his jab to protect him from polio and TB.
The areas in which these children can't get access to vaccination, so it has been a really great impact to children so that they can get immunized at school.
We have a lot of areas where it is the risk of the children.
Awala Ukikata mti moja, panda mbili, utunge mazingira yetu. One mi boresi borenyon, mito burjoi borenyon. Roto abete bana, boreto tubule. Dembo bukoresi, borebo bukoresi. Roto ke jarangan, mito nyu omiso. Turgana samburu, atata ke pinjo. Kicho komoy borenyon, ketota ke pinjo. Tusiharibu misitu na mito tuitunze, kirongo chake magumito omisho. Chengete bicho, yoribo gorenyon. Kirwo kiko, aneta bigojo. Yetililo borenyon, cheripe boroitu. Yeribo borenyon, Eyo maragwe. Kaunti Nakuru Nore Kumukul Umwajeni Kandoi Inekwe Kikachot Nale Tabison Yeneda Bichot
Applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tuwapigie makofi. Asante. A round of applause to that team, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. If you can hear my voice, wave to me kindly wherever you are. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. So, His Excellency the President is about to join us here. And I need to once again provide some guidance on what is expected of us when he comes in. My name is Boni Musambi from State House and State Functions. And so when His Excellency comes in through that direction, we will all be upstanding. And we will also be clapping for him. He's our president. As soon as he gets in and takes his spot, we will have the national anthem of Kenya and the EAC anthem as led by the Presidential Escort Unit Band. We will remain standing for prayers. We have a bishop and a sheikh who will guide us in prayers. And soon after, we shall then take our seats. After that, we'll be guiding you in terms of the speeches. For now, we kindly urge everybody to be seated, to be in the tent. Let us not have movements outside the tent so that we have order. We wish to invite everybody. We wish to ask you to be happy. This is a very, very important occasion. Kwa wale ambao wanaelewa lugha ya Kiswahili, this is a very, very important occasion. Kwa wale ambao wanaelewa lugha ya Kiswahili, naomba kutangaza kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Daktari William Samoei Ruto, atajiunga nasi wakati wowote. Tayari yuko katika uwanja na anapitia exhibitions mbalimbali. Atakapoingia Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa heshima na unyenyekevu, kila mmoja asimame na tumpigie makofi na tumshikilie hadi afike katika eneo lake. Mheshimiwa Rais, tutahitajika kupata wimbo wa Kenya na wimbo wa taifa wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Punde baada ya hapo tutasalia kusimama ili tuongozwe kwa maombi na bishop na sheikh. Tutaketi baada ya hapo na kisha utapewa mwongozo wa hotuba jinsi itakuwa. Kwa sasa ombi langu ni kwamba wale tulio nje tuweze kuingia ndani ya hema ili tupunguze kutembea kwa minajili ya salama. Asanteni sana kwa utulivu wenu na tunaomba tufurahie shughuli ya leo. Asante. Tuendelee na muziki.
Major Records.
Yengete pichot. Iye kore. Yepe kasi. Yengete pichot. Iye kore. Yengete pichot. Iye kore. Iye nyamati. Iyo. Yengete pichot. Iye kore.
Asante sana assistant dancers. Asante sana Leaders Club for them. In preparation to see President William Samoei Ruto. At the same time, I now invite Michael Gitonga to take over the program. You're welcome.
Basi tunaendelea kutarajia Mheshimiwa Rais aje ili Devolution Conference ifunguliwe officially. Ili kwa heshima tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Rais. Kama ilivyo desturi, tutaanza na wimbo wa taifa tukifuatia wimbo wa Jumuiya la Mataifa kabla tuendelee na rotba ambayo imepangwa siku ya leo. We now await all rise. His Excellency the President. Welcome him with a hand. Karibu sana Rais. The national anthem. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba tubaki tumesimama ili tuongozwe na Bishop Matthew Mayo akifuata Sheikh Mohamed Hussein. Kwa maombi.
Baba Mungu, katika jina la Yesu Kristo, twaja mbele zako mjana wa leo katika kikao hiki cha conference ya Devolution. Baba Mungu, ninaomba baraka katika kongamano hili, ya kwamba Baba Mungu kila mnenaji utamuongoza na kumbariki. Baraka kuhudhuria na neema iwe juu ya hii kongamano. Mungu, nailete mkononi mwako serikali yetu kuu, ya kwamba Baba Mungu utatubariki tukiwa taifa la Baba Mungu. Naombea baraka kaunti zote 47, ya kwamba Mungu mkono wako ajabu iwe juu ya taifa hili. Mtumishi wako Musa akaomba akasema, Mungu kama wepo wako pamoja nasi, ni heri tukae hapa. Mkono wako wa ajabu ya kwamba juu ya taifa wepo wako wenda pamoja nasi. Yakabidhi mkononi mwako rais wetu Daktari kwa Mungu abariki mtumishi wako na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, wape neema na baraka ya ajabu. Ni kwa Yesu tunaomba hata na kuamini.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise are due to Allah. With Him, its main goal and plans. Give them the strength and wisdom to achieve their goals in improving public services for the areas. We pray for the government of Kenya and the county of Uasin Gishu and all the counties in general. May Allah bless our country, Kenya. Bring peace and prosperity to our country. Bring unity and cohesion among Kenyans. Bless the county government of Uasin Gishu, bless its Governor, Bwana Jonathan B., and his Deputy Governor, and all other county governments and their governors and their deputy governors. We also pray for our President William Samoei Ruto. May Allah give him health and the strength to be able to serve the nation. Give him wisdom to bring all Kenyans on board. Grant him success in his plans and make this country a great country. And finally, as envisaged in our national anthem, may we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Amin.
Let us kindly take our seats. Excellency, the President of this great nation, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, the COG Chair, Madam Anne Waiguru, the Host Governor, His Excellency Jonathan B., all governors present, deputy governors, CSs, PSs, ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps, partners, development partners, sponsors, and all distinguished guests present. Your Excellency, sir, with your permission, allow me to now call the host governor, Governor of Uasin Gishu County, Governor Jonathan B., to make his welcoming remarks. Tumkaribishe kwa makofi, Honorable His Excellency Jonathan B. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, Speaker of Senate, Amason Kingi, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, Speaker of the National Assembly, Excellency Governors, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable members of Senate and National Assembly, representatives of the Constitutional Commission and independent officers, leaders of Uasin Gishu County and the greater region, ambassadors and high commissioners, principal secretaries, members of the County Assembly, all national government and county government representatives, private sector and civil society representatives and development partners, international delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to extend a warm welcome to Uasin Gishu County, affectionately known as the Champions, where the spirit of devolution pulsates with unmatched vigor. Our county, renowned as an agricultural hub, has always been and continues to stand as a home of prominent farmers, world record-breaking athletes, business, and welcoming people. It is a pleasure to have you all here. Karibuni sana. Today marks a significant milestone as we gather under the banner of progress, collaboration, and a shared vision at the first biannual Devolution Conference. This event is particularly meaningful as it returns to our county after impressive years of 94. 94 years, we will have this kind of conference again to come to Uasin Gishu. I am honored to stand before this as esteemed assembly, hosting the banner of unity and progress that resonates with all of us. Let us make a moment to acknowledge transformative power of devolution and extend my appreciation to His Excellency President Dr. William Samoei Ruto for his unwavering dedication to this cause. Devolution is more than a mere political or administrative concept. It embodies the very spirit of our nation. It encapsulates the principles of democracy, inclusivity, and grassroots governance that form the bedrock of our national growth and development. This conference stands as a testament to the strides we have made in nurturing the principles and our collective commitment to steer Kenya towards greater prosperity through the devolution of power and resources. Ladies and gentlemen, education, infrastructure, health, and agriculture are the cornerstones on which our nation's future. In Uasin Gishu County, we have witnessed these sectors flourish under the nurturing embrace of devolution. A prime example is the school feeding program for early childhood education development, ECDs, locally known as Maziwa ya Koti Moja, which has led to remarkable increase in pupil enrollment and exemplified by 40% growth in our schools within Kapseret sub-county. Our commitment to education has yielded empowered minds and skilled workforce. We have recently confirmed our ECD teachers on permanent and pensionable terms, which has boosted their morale. Ladies and gentlemen, our ambition extends further under the visionary guidance of His Excellency the President. The establishment of county aggregation industrial parks and export processing zones holds the promise of transforming employment and opportunities for our youth and attracting vital investments. Substantial progress has made with 135-acre piece of land earmarked for development. As we engage with prospective investors, we eagerly anticipate the manifold benefits these endeavors will bring to our county. Our infrastructure projects have redefined connectivity and accessibility. Well-maintained roads and modern transportation networks have turned Uasin Gishu County into an economic hub within the wider North Rift region. Through these investments in connectivity, we are fostering regional integration, economic growth, and efficient movement of people, goods, services, and ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, medical tourism has been a cornerstone of our county. We take pride not only in having top-notch hospitals, but also in innovative technology-backed healthcare systems. Enhancing maternal and child health services and improving disease prevention and treatment remain vital pillars in our Nguso Kumi manifesto, which is now implemented as a third county integration development plan. Our county's fertile lands have consistently yielded abundant harvests, solidifying Uasin Gishu County as the nation's breadbasket. Timely provision of essential farm inputs has ignited optimism among our farmers. This year, our fields are abundant with maize harvest and the sight of farmers proudly displaying their produce in Kenya Kwanza administration. In the midst of our devolution accomplishments, I urge all of us to center our discourse on fundamental matter, bolstering service delivery through performance management. Devolution empowers our people, ensures equitable resource distribution, and improves lives. To uphold this noble cause, we must not merely inspire for service excellence, but it is the guiding principle of our governance architecture. Transformative service delivery, as before entities, requires proactive performance management underpinned by transparency, which propels us towards effective governance. Ladies and gentlemen, our achievements span beyond sectors. Uasin Gishu County has flourished as an ideal place to work, live, invest, and explore. A secure environment, conducive business climate, and rich cultural tapestry converge to create an ecosystem that becomes as in infrastructure, networks, and resource distribution and of life, but the various opportunities in our county. And as we gather for this conference, let us remember that the spirit of devolution burns within each of us, seeing our forefathers' dreams and securing a brighter future for generations to come. unstoppable. Thank you, and may this conference resonate as a resounding success. Thank you, asanteni sana. Na niseme karibuni tena Uasin Gishu. This is a place that we prepared for you as our guest. As you move around and see the beauty of this county, you can also see the potential that you can of investment that we have in our region. We pride ourselves for our key athletes who have given us a good name. Our brand is the County of Champions. And I want to say karibuni sana to the County of Champions. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki. Before I forget, we also have some nightlife here. We have more nightlife than day life. So I want to say when you move around, just feel good, you are secure. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Jonathan B. Next, Your Excellency, I would like to call upon the whip of the council, and that is Governor Stephen Sang, Governor Nandi County, to come and make his remarks and also run the program from here. Let's give him a clap as he's coming. Welcome, Governor Sang.
Asante sana, MC. God is good and all the time. Asanteni sana. Kwanza, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, we as Council of Governors and the Devolution family are excited that you have joined us today in the official opening of today's Devolution conference. Your Excellency, yesterday, we had planned some pre-devolution activities. One of them was a football match between the Senate and the Council of Governors. As agreed, Your Excellency, and by the tradition, this is always not a serious match, it's a fun match. And Your Excellency, this is, and to confirm that this is a fun match, we know football does, we do 90 minutes in a football match. Ours was about 50 minutes, which means 25 minutes, 25 minutes. We had also agreed that this was a fun match, but our friends in the Senate, Your Excellency, unleashed a professional team on us. And at the end of the game, we were at 0-3. But Your Excellency, we think that you may have conspired with the Senate, because one of our strikers, dependable striker, Governor Otuoma from Busia, for some reason you disappeared with him for the whole day yesterday. That you may have colluded with the Senate team, including a very dependable 2 members of our cheering squad. Very noisy Governor Senator Susan Kika of Nakuru, and Governor Susan Kika of Nakuru, and SES of Embu County. So, Your Excellency, we hope that in the next biannual devolution conference, you will find time to side with us and not with the Senate, so that we can redeem our image as governors. Nonetheless, we still have the 3 days ahead of us. We will be able to prove ourselves as COG. So, asante sana, we have, Your Excellency, very few remarks from our sponsors, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome our remarks from our platinum sponsors, starting with Ambassador Meg Whitman, the U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, to come and make our remarks. Karibu Balozi.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be in Eldoret at this Devolution conference, my first, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you today. Ushirikano wa Kenya na Marekani ni imara. Umajengwa kwa miaka 60 ya maendeleo na maslahi ya pamoja. Our partnership has enhanced security and improved the lives of Kenyans and Americans. Since I arrived in Kenya, my team and I have been focused on strengthening the U.S.-Kenya trade investment relationship in coordination with the Kenyan government. The presentation that you are about to hear is one that I have given many times over the past several months to encourage businesses to invest in Africa and Kenya. I want you to hear the pitch too, and hope that you use the data for your own pitches. And I welcome you to add your county to this story. And the story is, why Africa, why Kenya, and why your county? Whether that's Homa Bay or Kilifi or Nairobi or Mombasa. Let us seize this moment to increase bilateral trade and investment to all our citizens. Now, just after I arrived, it became clear to me we needed to update the narrative on Africa. For example, when I was a CEO, I'll be honest, I probably thought about Africa 1% of the time. Many businesses I managed were elsewhere. But if I were back in the boardroom today, Africa would be on my radar for two very simple reasons: supply chain diversification and net zero emissions. If the war in Ukraine and the COVID pandemic taught us anything from a business perspective, it taught us that single sourcing your supply chain from any one country is not smart. Single sourcing is a recipe for supply chain disruption and shortage. Today, every company is looking for new places to diversify their supply chain. Now, what the war in Ukraine and the pandemic did to spur supply chain diversification, climate change has done for energy use. Businesses are pushing for net zero emissions to meet their climate change mitigation goals. And Kenya, as you know, generates 93% of its electricity from renewable sources, and this percentage is only going to go up with geothermal, solar, and wind investments. And to further emphasize this point, ponder these words from a CEO of a major consumer tech company who I hope to bring to Kenya. He said, "Supply chain diversification is now an essential element of our business, and so is the need to be totally green. In that sense, Kenya seems to offer us a 1-2 punch for success." Now, at the embassy, we've been doing a lot of trade and investment data analysis since my arrival. And what I have learned has been surprising and paints a far more dynamic business outlook for Africa than most Americans understand. And here are some data points that I found particularly interesting, and ones that I share often with American businesses. Why Africa is the first question American businesses have. By 2015, 1 in 4 humans, a quarter of the world's population, will live on the African continent, and 1/3 of the working age people will live on the African continent. It's the youngest population on the world. 60% of the population is under 25. And in my view, Africa is the last and largest emerging market and offers the last big supply chain and consumer prospects, much like the opportunities we saw in Southeast Asia 20 years ago. Now, that's how I'm talking about Africa to U.S. businesses. Let's zoom in on how I'm talking about why Kenya should be everyone's destination in Africa. Kenya is the most stable democracy in Africa. Kenya is the gateway to the East African market of almost 500 million consumers. Kenya is the regional logistics hub. Kenya is the leading regional financial hub. And Kenya, with its Silicon Savannah and super smart engineers, is the region's ICT hub. Kenya is a leading destination for foreign direct investment and venture capital. and Kenya has a young, educated, entrepreneurial, and English-speaking workforce. Kenya generates, as I said, over 93% of its energy from renewable sources, and Kenya's largest export market is the United States. Let me repeat, Kenya's largest export is the United States, and we feel Kenya is ready for liftoff as it diversifies. Let me unpack a couple of these areas. Democracy. I arrived in Kenya days before the August 22 general elections. What I witnessed was nothing short of remarkable. Kenya held what many analysts and commentators say was the freest, fairest, and most credible election in Kenyan history. The elections were observed by international and local election organizations, and the results were upheld by the Kenyan Supreme Court, and power was transferred orderly and peacefully at the time. Now, gateway to East Africa. As I said, Kenya is the gateway to East Africa. 80% of East African regional trade passes through Kenya's Mombasa port. In addition, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi is the busiest airport in East Africa, served by 40 passenger airlines and 25 cargo carriers, including FedEx and DHL. Kenya also has some excellent infrastructure, such as the Standard Gauge Railway, a series of new roads, and modern ports. From a financial and technology hub perspective, Kenya is already the regional financial hub for East Africa. Several international banks have been present in Nairobi for decades, and five major global financial institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund have established their regional headquarters in Nairobi. The region's regional stock market sits in Nairobi, and the city hosts the necessary legal, accounting, and consultancy services to preserve and accelerate this. There we go. Okay, great. Thank you. Nairobi also has a very vibrant technology community known as Silicon Savannah, and the Kenyan government is committed to establishing Kenya as the premier destination for tech sector investment and innovation in Africa. Many leading U.S. companies are already in Kenya, including the names that you see on the screen. Emerging, but also hugely impactful. Oh, having a little trouble there. Emerging, but also hugely impactful Kenyan tech companies like Copia Global, Semiconductor Limited, Twiga Foods, Market Force, Power Financial Wellness, and others are here in Kenya. I've met these companies, I've visited their operations, and what I see happening here has many of the critical components that make Silicon Savannah an even bigger success. Now, at the nexus of finance and technology sits one of the most impressive companies I have ever seen, M-Pesa. M-Pesa has annual revenues of over $1 billion US, $360 billion of gross market value flowed through the platform last year. And it has an open API of over 60,000 developers. M-Pesa has over 50 million customers in 7 countries and is involved in over 70% of Kenyan transactions, powers over 5 million businesses, and 60% of Kenya's annual GDP flows through it. Let me say that again. 60% of Kenya's GDP flows through M-Pesa. And let me tell you, I know a little something about this industry, having bought and owned PayPal at eBay. And I assure you, M-Pesa is extraordinary. M-Pesa alone demonstrates the brilliant business minds at work in Kenya, devising African solutions to global problems. Foreign direct investment and venture capital Kenya has attracted significant foreign direct investment and is a leading destination for venture capital. Interestingly, when venture capital flows decreased 35% globally last year, total funding in Africa actually increased 8%. Even more impressive, while venture capital to Nigeria was down 36% and essentially flat in South Africa, funding to Kenya increased by 33%. You go, Kenya. Adjusted for GDP, Kenya receives significantly more venture capital than anywhere else on the continent, generating roughly triple the venture capital to GDP ratios of Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Unlike its continental competitors who attract predominantly fintech-led investments, Kenya venture capital flows are more diverse, led by e-commerce and clean tech, followed by fintech, agri-tech, and enterprise investments. And what's even more unique for Kenya, in 2022, Kenyan women-founded startups raised $146 million in equity, more than any other country on the entire continent. As I said, more than 90% of Kenya's on-grid electricity is currently generated from renewable sources, primarily geothermal, wind, and solar. A great example is Kipeto in Kajiado County. It's the second largest wind farm in Kenya, proudly supported by the U.S. International Development Finance Corp. And Power Africa. And it is phenomenal that Kenya has committed to reaching 100% renewable energy by 2030 and is already close to achieving that goal. From a workforce perspective, Kenya is English-speaking, has high literacy rates, and strong primary, secondary, and tertiary education systems. And every firm that I have spoken to about the quality of Kenyan workforce says this: the Kenyan workforce is their best workforce in the world. As I mentioned, in 2022, the United States became Kenya's largest export market, edging ahead of neighboring Uganda. In total, Kenya exported $890 million in goods to the United States last year, and in addition, the United States exported around $600 million in goods to Kenya. So $1.5 billion in total U.S.-Kenya trade. It's fairly balanced, and it's expected to increase as the United States and Kenya negotiate a first-of-its-kind bilateral trade agreement that we hope will be done by the end of this year. And we hope this agreement will be a model for the rest of the continent once signed. So, now you know why I am so enthusiastic about the Kenyan prospects and the Kenyan investment climate. But when I talk to American investors, they have some questions, and there are room for improvement. The Ruto administration has made great strides and is committed to building a business-friendly environment. But if it is to accomplish the goal, the government's going to have to address a few issues. And the first is taxes. Kenya must have a consistent, transparent, and fairly administered national tax policy to attract and retain foreign direct investment and accelerate economic development. The tax rates don't need to be the lowest. They need to be the most consistent. And all of you know, some work still needs to be done, but the recent finance bill had many changes that will make Kenya's tax policy more consistent and therefore more bankable by foreign direct investment. Without a doubt, corruption is a critical issue and one that must be addressed for Kenya to reach its full potential in all areas of development. Everyone knows corruption leads to misuse of public resources, slows economic growth and job creation, and damages the investment climate, as well as undermining equal participation in the prosperity of this country. However, while corruption does remain a challenge in Kenya, as in other developing markets, third-party measures of corruption indicate positive trends and some progress in recent years. According to the United States Millennium Challenge Corporation's country scorecard for 2023, Kenya's score for control of corruption was 0.28, representing its third passing score in a row and its highest score to date. But to put this number in perspective, Kenya's 0.28 was superior to India's 0.18 and Vietnam's 0.19. And what I can tell you is Americans don't give it a second thought to invest in India. In addition, President Ruto has cracked down on corruption, calling out government agencies that engage in unscrupulous practices and firing government officials involved. Now, I also get a lot of questions about Kenya's debt. Kenya, like many developing countries, is burdened with high debt, limiting its ability to fund public services and infrastructure in line with its ambitions. According to the IMF, Kenya's debt to GDP ratio is 69%, but this number is not an outlier amongst regional averages. For comparison, Malaysia's debt to GDP stood at 69% in 2021, while India's ratio was 83% in 2022. Another area I get a ton of questions on is cargo clearance. Now, despite improving logistics, the delivered cost of a container to Kenya remains significantly higher than the container shipments landing in Europe or Asia. So there is room for improvement on cost, but here's a great fact. Back in 2010, it took over 11 days to clear a container at the port of Mombasa. Today, it takes 3.5 days. And this reduction has occurred despite cargo increasing over the past 5 years from 27 million metric tons in 2016 to nearly 35 million metric tons in 2021. So this is an important thing for Americans. This is an excellent opportunity, I think, to put to rest the argument that Kenya is not a manufacturing country. True, Kenya has room to grow in this sector, but manufacturing is happening here. And let me give you a few examples of Kenya's manufacturing prowess. Gearbox in Nairobi County, a high-mix, low-flow electronics manufacturer, runs a state-of-the-art, what we call a surface mount assembly line. And in November of 2022, began manufacturing Raspberry Pi's Pico product for the African market. Gearbox's production quality, catch this, meets or exceeds that of Raspberry Pi's other production sites in Wales and Japan, producing a first-pass yield of 99.6%. Semiconductor Technologies, a U.S.-owned semiconductor manufacturing and nanotechnology company in Nyeri County, is growing rapidly and has hired more than 80 Kenyan engineers in the last 12 months. Kenya's Revital Healthcare in Kilifi County is one of the largest manufacturers of medical products in Africa, producing 48 devices and exporting to 28 countries. Isuzu has operated an East Africa assembly plant in Nairobi since 1977, selling more than 90,000 units with more than 15 models. And there is also a robust and growing e-mobility manufacturing assembly industry in Kenya. Kenya is the future for Africa's 2- and 3-wheel e-vehicles and e-buses. And lastly, when we talk about trade, we have to talk about apparel and apparel manufacturing. Last year, Kenya recorded its highest ever apparel exports to the United States, over $540 million, employing nearly 200,000 Kenyans, mostly young women. Leading U.S. apparel brands sourcing from Kenya include PVH, which includes Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein, Contour, which includes Lee and Wrangler, and several more, including Walmart and Levi's. And what we hear from these brands, they want more Kenya apparel manufacturing, both because of the high quality of labor and Kenya's leadership in renewable energy. Brands are steadily moving production operations to Kenya from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and China because of what you have to offer. And more of this is on the way. I think apparel manufacturing may be the biggest near-term employment opportunity in all of Kenya. So clearly, there is something happening here. It's abundantly clear to me, and every day I try to make abundantly clear to the international audience that Kenya is open for business. Over the past year, the Kenyan government has been implementing real measures to improve economic conditions and create a business-friendly investment climate throughout the country. Following months of deliberation and consultations with the political and the business community, President Ruto announced the following reforms at the March American Chamber of Commerce Business Summit. A consistent, fair, predictable, and enduring tax regime. alignment of Kenya's data protection regulations with the multilateral global cross-border private rules framework, a 6-month deadline for KRA to either pay all verified tax refund claims or provide offsets, elimination of the VAT on export services, elimination of the domestic equity requirement for ICT companies, removal of tax on stock-based compensation for employees of all startups, and commitment to adhere to the OECD two-pillar solution framework for digital services tax. And finally, a commitment to revitalize Kenya's special economic zones to maximize their competitiveness, and more reforms are in the pipeline. As you can see, there is so much opportunity in Kenya, and an opportunity to bring the U.S. and Kenyan businesses closer together. All of what I'm about to announce has happened in the last 12 months. In agriculture, Del Monte, the largest private sector employee in Kenya, has invested $5.5 million in a new state-of-the-art fresh fruit packing facility in Kiambu County. Kentegra, a U.S.-Kenya company on the forefront of restoring Kenya as the leading producer of organic insecticide, is building a new $15 million pyrethrum refinery in Nakuru County, benefiting over 90,000 farmers. Regen Organics, an incredibly innovative company founded by young MIT graduates, they're like 27, turning waste into fertilizer, fuel, and animal feed. They will expand their farm and organic waste collection, more than doubling their production of affordable, locally produced agriculture inputs, benefiting 10,000 farmers. And they're building a new $7 million factory that will create 500 jobs in Kakamega County. In apparel, the industry that continues year-on-year expansion, new partnerships have been launched with several leading manufacturing companies, including MAS and Mega, Coast Apparel, and UAL, and they will create at least 20,000 additional jobs and increase exports by 200 million in the next year. Many of these investments are in Machakos County. Best Corporation, also in Machakos, will launch a new apparel manufacturing facility in mid-2023 with plans to hire 2,400 new employees. And NextGen will build a state-of-the-art apparel labeling and packaging facility that has already broken ground and will be operational in September. In ICT and innovation, CCI Global, the largest business process outsourcing company in Kenya, has doubled its workforce to 8,000. In the next 6 months, they'll add 4,000 jobs in Kenya, in Kiambu County, for American clients like United Airlines, Spirit Airlines, JetBlue, AT&T, and Shipt. In energy, Malele Energy, a U.S. company, just concluded a deal to acquire part of the Turkana wind power project, one of the largest in Africa, and produce over 20% of Kenya's electricity in 2022, with huge plans for expansion. And last but certainly not least, in the medical pharma industry, the government of Kenya and Moderna finalized an agreement to build a new $500 million vaccine manufacturing facility in Kiambu County. This will be the only such facility on the African continent for Moderna, and their first factory outside the United States. Moderna's investment should be a catalyst for the medical industry in Africa, producing over 500 million vaccines a year. All of this has happened in the last 12 months. So all you need to do, Mr. President, is do that again in the next 12 months. And there are more exciting developments happening every day. American sports associations like the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, and the entertainment icon, the Grammys, are all currently looking for a home in Kenya. And the television and movie industries are discovering Kenya too. Everyone thinks Nigeria has the market on this, but just look at the fact that Kenya now has a Real Housewives of Nairobi. So, there are many reasons why global businesses are considering or should consider Africa, and specifically Kenya and your counties, for trade and investment opportunity. This is your opportunity. What are your priorities? What is your sales pitch? And as I said at the beginning of this presentation, When I was the CEO of HP, I only thought of doing business in Africa about 1% of the time. American companies are used to doing business with Europe and Asia. How will you convince them to make doing business in Kenya just as routine? I encourage you to take this presentation. There's no trademark on this presentation. Take this presentation and tell the story of why Africa, why Kenya, and why your county. Why Garissa? Why Mombasa? Why Isiolo? Why Nakuru? Why any county in the country? You should be able to answer the question, why Africa, why Kenya, and why your county? So to conclude, the United States and Kenya are open for business. And to quote President Ruto, Kenya means business. So we have work to do. We need to roll up our sleeves and deliver the results. The American people and your constituents deserve our best efforts to expand shared economic opportunity and growth. Asante sana.
You will all agree. Thank you very much, Balozi. You will all agree that it would be difficult to cut short such kind of a candid presentation pitching for Kenya. The parting shot, Kenya is open for business. Counties are open for business. Our next speaker, I hope you will make your remarks fairly moderate because we are catching up with time. Our platinum sponsor, Safaricom PLC, Chief Executive, Mr. Peter Degwa, karibu sana.
I follow that kind of presentation. But before I start, Your Excellency, I wanted to... So, Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, the Honorable Governor, Anne Waiguru, Chairperson of the Council of Governors, the Speaker, National Assembly, and also the Senate, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Cabinet Secretaries, Your Excellencies, Governors, Honorable Members of Senate and National Assembly, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to join you at this Devolution conference as representing Safaricom, and I thank the ambassador for becoming a chief marketing officer, especially for M-Pesa. It is true that we transact about $1 billion Kenya shillings through the $1 billion through the M-Pesa platform, so it is a significant part. But I'm happy to be here in the home of champions as Safaricom, which has been a major partner for devolution, but also digitization. But I'm also happy to be here as one of the platinum sponsors for this conference. This year's conference marks the 10th anniversary of devolution, a feat we should all be proud of. As Safaricom, we feel privileged to have worked with the national and county governments in the devolution journey every step of the way. We are a purpose-led, Kenyan-born company that uses transformative power of technology to enable Kenyans live better lives. It is about combining the power of innovation and technology to improve lives of people. We empower individuals, micro, small, and medium, and large businesses, as well as the government, both on the national and also county level, by connecting people to people, people to opportunities, and people to information. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, our DNA is Kenyan. But beyond our borders, you have heard, we fly the Kenyan flag, driving financial inclusion across Africa through our innovative solution, M-Pesa, that has been recognized globally as one of the top 10 most influential financial inclusion projects in the last 50 years. We've also expanded our footprint across the border to Ethiopia, where we started commercial operations since last year. Our Ethiopia business has started off well and is growing every day. We are past the 5 million customer in terms of customers recruited, and also close to 2,000 sites that we've set up so far. Through the foundation, which is the Safaricom Foundation, we have built a footprint in all the 47 counties, and many of the county governors and officials are familiar, partnered with over 4,000 partners and implemented over 4,000 projects, investing over 7 billion Kenya shillings since Safaricom Foundation was started on August 14th, 2003. These investments have impacted over 10 million Kenyans. So Safaricom Foundation is 20 years old. Please clap for Safaricom Foundation. As we celebrate the 20 years of impacting lives positively, we hope to inspire hope for a brighter future through sustained community engagement, both through Safaricom Foundation, through the M-Pesa Foundation, but also through our commercial operations, which many people in this room are familiar with. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it's for this same passion for our people that I find myself here today. We are your partner for digitization or digital transformation, and your technology enablers in ensuring that Mwananchi receives government services efficiently and conveniently. Specifically, we are working with both the national and county governments to provide secure connectivity. Secure is important in the cyber world. Infrastructure development such as cloud and fiber and financial technology and affordable smartphones. I know this is your favorite topic, Your Excellency. Recently, His Excellency President Ruto said that it was our collective duty to deploy the best innovations and technologies to make Kenya efficient, competitive, and prosperous. His Excellency has pronounced himself on several occasions, pledging to enhance government service delivery through digitization and automation of government services for online access. Safaricom is right at the heart of technology advancements that the country leadership recognizes as key in enabling prosperity for its citizens. We've been a partner with national government initiatives on various sectors. In agriculture, we supported the government rollout, the revolutionary fertilizer subsidy program to over 3.2 million farmers across the country. I thought I would receive a clap for that. Under the financial inclusion program, over 22 million Kenyans have benefited from the Hustler and Women Enterprise Funds, which we disburse on behalf of government. We have provided infrastructure, including our agents' network and payment services, that have enabled digitization of these services. I wanted to say that when the President launched Hustler Fund on the day of launch, we got 5 million attempts trying to get onto the Hustler Fund platform. And only platforms like M-Pesa can be able to handle that kind of traffic and be able to operate and deliver the rest of services across the board. This project will not only provide employment, but will also enable access to I just wanted to read that again. Together with others, we are currently finalizing the development of the first ever smartphone device assembly in Kenya. I know this is your favorite, Your Excellency. This project will not only provide employment, but will also enable access to affordable smartphones to as many Kenyans as possible. We are also working with various ministries and county governments to develop digital products and processes for enhanced service delivery to Kenyans. Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate 10 years of devolution, we remain committed to support Kenyans realize its digital and technology potential. We've identified key areas such as driving connectivity across counties. We are actively enabling the county governments enhance service delivery to Kenyans through a platform that we are calling My County App. You can clap. I was trying to look for some notes. So in our engagement, I wanted to explain to you, Your Excellency, that in our engagement with the county government, we have identified one challenge we would like to address in partnership with the counties. By nature of their wide portfolio of services they offer to citizens, there are multiple technologies being adopted by multiple suppliers or providers. Hence, we are implementing a user experience initiatives that we are dubbing My County App that will allow counties to connect multiple services and multiple technologies and deliver a seamless user experience. With My County App, we can easily scale adoption of county digital services by citizens without having to launch multiple user channels. My County App is interoperable to many other government digitization programs. And there are 14 counties that have already been onboarded on My County App. We are also working with the national and county government to develop solutions in sectors such as water, healthcare, and agriculture. Last evening, we presented to governors the My County App, a technology solution that empowers citizens to seamlessly access county government services and engage county leadership, whilst at the same time enabling counties to grow their revenue through digitization of services. My County App was launched in Makueni earlier this year, and I'm told by Governor Kilonzo that it is making a big impact. It is an app where counties can collect and deliver services without having to launch several apps for different counties or different services. Specifically, My County App will enable counties to broaden digital services scope, increase own source revenue due to better collection and service delivery, and most importantly, drive citizen engagement by allowing citizens to directly engage county leadership digitally. As I've said so far, 14 counties have connected to My County App and will continue to engage others. And as I've said, it is all interoperable with other digitization elements that the government is using. As I conclude, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I want to reiterate Safaricom is ready to work with your governments to ensure that no Kenyan is left behind in this digital era. I echo His Excellency's Ruto's call that we can help to deliver service to Kenyans from the comfort of their homes, chambers, or from their businesses. Your Excellency, for us to support Kenyans adequately, we also call upon the government to continue to creating policies that encourage investment, a conducive environment that will allow enterprise to lower their operating costs and also subsequently pass these benefits to customers. The industry has collectively invested in modern infrastructure which is widely spread across the country. Specifically, we, the telco industry, are investing heavily in fiber rollout as we seek to support your target of laying 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable. I call upon the county and national governments to harmonize on the different levy charges and rates that are charged by counties and other government organizations to enable fiber to be seamlessly delivered. In addition, we ask that the government classifies telecommunication, in particular fiber infrastructure, as critical infrastructure, because today, when roads are being constructed, fiber is cut, and there is no consequence of cutting fiber, unlike power or water. This will ensure that the safety of these assets enable more investment to accelerate the rollout of fiber across the country. We remain committed to making a difference by supporting the economy through job creation, meaningful partnerships, and remain steadfast in paying duties and taxes to the government. Safaricom recognizes that technology has tremendous potential to unlock Kenya's economic growth, solve customer and societal challenges, and deepen digital and financial inclusion. We will collaborate with the government towards projects and initiatives that seek to transform the lives of Kenyans. With these remarks, I thank you and I wish you all a very successful 2023 Devolution Conference. We are ready to be your partner of choice in digitization, and we are ready to partner to make the future of Kenyans brighter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.